The first fire, when arrogance sparked the flame, it began in silence, on a world far from Earth, but bound by human dreams. The colony of New Horizon was little more than steel domes and stubborn settlers etched into the soil of a pale green planet. Farmers, engineers, children laughing in artificial sunlight. Ordinary people building extraordinary hope. They never expected the sky itself to turn against them. The Kavar Dominion descended without warning. Their ships cut through the atmosphere like falling blades, engines glowing sickly violet. To them, New Horizon was not a home. It was a prize, a resource node, a colony to seize. The Kavar commander declared the planet theirs by right of conquest, his voice dripping with contempt across every intercepted channel. They didn't negotiate. They didn't warn. They simply struck. The first wave of bombardments flattened hydroponic fields, shattering domes, igniting oxygen reserves. Families burned alive inside the very habitats they had built. The Kavar laughed as they transmitted live feeds of the destruction to the wider galaxy, mocking humanity for daring to expand so boldly. When the survivors surrendered, hoping mercy might remain in alien hearts, the Kavar executed them on camera. Men, women, even the children. Their leader sneered, "Humans plant colonies like weeds. Today, we rip one out by its roots." The feast of mockery. When cruelty was mistaken for strength, the galaxy watched. In neutral systems, ambassadors raised brows and muttered about human overreach. The Kavar declared their triumph in every starport, feasting as slaves scrubbed blood from their boots. They told stories of how fragile the Death World primates had been. So naive, so soft, so foolish to think they could hold land beyond their home sphere. Earth will do nothing, they proclaimed. They value peace too much. They fear war too deeply. They will bow. In smoky halls across the stars, the Kavar's arrogance echoed. They drank to the weakness of humankind, to the certainty that Earth would hide behind treaties, diplomacy, and soft words. Even their allies whispered the same doubt. Humans are civilized now. They won't dare. And so the Kavar celebrated, blind to the silence gathering beyond their revelry. They mistook patience for weakness. They mistook humanity's restraint for cowardice. They had forgotten what happens when humanity stops restraining itself. The silence breaks. When Earth rose from the shadows for days, Earth said nothing. No counter-declaration. No immediate strike. Just silence. A silence that spread like a storm-building pressure. Then, one night, across every human colony and orbital station, the silence shattered. Emergency frequencies lit up. Mobilization codes that had not been spoken in centuries boomed across encrypted channels. Ancient arsenals hidden in vaults beneath the oceans awakened. Engines that had not burned since the last Great War roared once more. Human dreadnoughts emerged from dockyards like steel titans rising from their tombs. Their hulls bore scars of past conflicts, their weapons freshly reforged with vengeance. Civilian liners converted overnight into carriers. Merchant fleets repurposed into war convoys. In orbit above Earth, the sky itself seemed to ignite. Thousands of warships mobilizing at once, blotting out the stars with a fleet so vast it looked like a second atmosphere. The old banners of war unfurled, semper vigilo, semper paratus, semper invictus. Always watchful, always ready, always unconquered. For the first time in generations, Earth did not whisper diplomacy. It thundered retribution, and across the galaxy, fear set in. The Kavar's feast turned sour in their mouths. The reckoning. When humanity unleashed its wrath, the human fleets did not march. They stormed. They came like a tidal wave of metal and fire, breaking across the Kavar's borders with no prelude, no warning, no parley. The first strike annihilated 3 outer defense worlds in a single coordinated assault, entire orbital rings reduced to molten debris in minutes. Kavar admirals tried to rally, but their signals drowned in static as human jammers swallowed their networks whole. The galaxy had never seen war waged like this. Not with such precision, not with such cold fury. Human warships moved in silence, fleets vanishing into subspace and reappearing directly inside enemy strongholds. Orbital bombardments rained firestorms upon cities. Ground forces descended like iron storms, armored divisions tearing across continents in days. Human soldiers wore no fear on their faces, only grim resolve. To them, this was not conquest. This was justice. The Kavar called them monsters. The galaxy called them unstoppable. The survivors called them judgment. And through it all, humanity did not broadcast victory speeches, did not boast, did not laugh as the Kavar had. The only words transmitted before each annihilation were chillingly the same. You wanted a colony. Instead, you earned a war. The firestorm spreads. When the galaxy finally understood, weeks became months. The war consumed system after system. Human fleets carved through Kavar space like a blade through flesh, leaving behind ash, ruin, and silence. Refugees fled in every direction, whispering of fire raining from the stars, of soldiers who fought like storms made flesh. Every conquered world bore the same mark. An orbital broadcast repeating the footage of New Horizons' destruction, juxtaposed against the Kavar's ruins. A warning carved into the cosmos. This is what vengeance looks like. Other species watched in horror as humanity's shadow spread. Treaties were reviewed. Ambassadors rushed to send messages of sympathy, of apology, of distance from the Kavar. Entire coalitions scrambled to prove they had no hand in the slaughter. For the first time in galactic history, empires feared not each other, but Earth. The patience of humankind had run dry. Their vengeance had become infinite. The aftermath. When silence spoke louder than war, and then, as suddenly as it had begun, the storm ceased. Human fleets pulled back, not because they were weak, but because their purpose was fulfilled. The Kavar Dominion no longer existed. Their homeworld lay in ruins, their fleets scattered as dust in the void. Their name was erased from star maps, their banners burned to ash. Earth did not plant colonies on their remains, did not take slaves, did not annex. Humanity simply left silence behind, an empire reduced to nothingness, a warning carved in the bones of history. In smoky halls where once laughter mocked humanity, whispers now carried fear. Never provoke Earth again, never give them reason. Their patience is vast, but their vengeance is infinite. Epilogue. The lesson etched in stars. The galaxy would remember New Horizon. They would remember the arrogance of the Kavar and the firestorm that followed. Children on distant worlds would whisper the tale. How humans stayed their hand until blood was spilled, and then struck with a fury no empire could endure. The lesson was clear, eternal and carved in fire. Aliens had wanted a colony. Instead, they got a war, and humanity